And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
We're supposed to be doing a review right now.
Okay, fine. Hey, I'm Tom Vasel, this is Melody Vasel, and we're taking a look at Star Wars X-Wing Miniatures game. One of the most anticipated, one of the most popular, one of the most highly sold games that's out there, with multiple expansions that are released for it, Wave 1 and Wave 2. In this review, we're just going to talk about X-Wings and the TIE Fighter, just the basic game, and show you a little bit about how it plays. Man, Star Wars is the coolest, right? There's a lot that comes in the box, although you're going to find right away that one box is definitely not enough. I actually have two boxes, and I bought extra dice, and I bought a whole bunch of stuff from Wave 1 and 2. Now, we are going to talk about Wave 1 and 2 in a future review. So we're just going to talk about the basic game here. I did want to point out one thing that I don't like about the box. The box has some plastic in it, initially type things where you can see the models that come with it, and that's all well and good, but then when you're done, you have a box with a hole in it, which is a real pain in the neck. Not a huge deal, but I do like to store my stuff in the boxes, and so far I've managed to get everything from both boxes, and I bought almost two of everything else, including Waves 1 and 2, and managed to fit them in the boxes at this point in time. In the original box, you're going to get two TIE Fighters and you're going to get one X-Wing. And although you only have these two TIE Fighters and one X-Wing, each of these models can be set up so that they can be different people. Here we have a Red Squadron pilot on the bottom, but I can turn this over and now it's Wedge Antilles. And so you have multiple pilots. Sometimes they're unique. You can only have one Wedge Antilles. Sometimes they're the same pilot as someone else. For example, here's an Academy pilot, and if I wanted to have multiple Academy pilots, then what I would do is I would stick these little numbers here, which, you know, here they're number 8. I doubt I'll have 8 of them, but that would be a unique number, and now when I fly it around and I'm deciding which one gets hit, or if one gets hit, I can keep track of, well, here's number 8. Now what you'll do at the beginning of a game is you'll decide the scenario, which could just be blow up the enemy, or you will, you know, it could be something that involves asteroids or some rescue mission or what have you. But you're going to go through cards and you're going to pick the cards that you will take. For example, if I took a Black Squadron pilot, that'd be worth 14 points. I would take that. Or maybe I want to take this one here, the Night Beast. That's 15 points. Or Dark Curse for 16 points. Or, you know, there's all different ones. Or a Wimpy Academy pilot for 12 points. And I can even add more things. For example, I might want to add some proton torpedoes to my X-Wing, and so then those would be 4 more points. And so players will set up their things. They will put the matching cardboard piece on there, and then they'll start on their side of the table, facing each other, or whatever the mission dictates at that point in time. Now, there are some numbers on these cards. Once again, looking at this Black Squadron pilot. This number here is initiative. Higher is better than lower. If there's a tie in initiative, then the one side goes first, whoever has initiative, which is usually the Imperials. The red number is how many dice you roll on the attack, green how many you roll on the defense, yellow is your structural points, and blue is any shield points. If you don't have any, like these TIE Fighters, then you can be sad. So what players are going to do, each player is also going to take a wheel. This is the wheel here for a TIE Fighter, and this wheel here, you can see I can pick different maneuvers. So for example, I might decide to go 5 straight, or do 1 and take a turn. 5. So I have different ones that I'm going to do. So I'm going to pick one of those, and I'm going to put it next to my TIE Fighter. I'll do that with everyone's going to do that with all their ships at the beginning of each turn. Then the slowest ships move first, and then the faster ships will move after that, coming down in initiative order. And when a ship moves, you turn it over, and this says, for example, 3 straight. So I look through my templates here, and here we have 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and I'll take the 3 straight template out. So I go down to my TIE Fighter, and at the bottom of the base, I put the 3 there. I hold this down, pick the TIE Fighter up, and put the 3 on the other side. So now it has moved. And if you look at the bottom of these things here, you can see that there's little notches in the plastic, which when I put the different curves and things in, will fit very nicely in them when you're holding it down on the table. So then maybe, let's see, Wedge decides to do a maneuver where he turns around, which would be crazy. But some of the maneuvers that you do are red, which will cause stress on you. And that means you can never take 2 reds in a row, although a green maneuver can reduce stress on you. And when after you have moved, if you're not stressed, then you can take an action. And those actions will be based on the actions that your card allows you to do. Like this one allows you to do a barrel roll, or to focus, or to evade. So you pick one of those. And whichever one you pick, you will either take the action or put a token for the action. Evade basically gives you an extra miss result when you're dodging someone else shooting at you. Focus, I'll explain that in a second. A barrel roll lets me take the 1 marker, straight marker, move it, put it next to my ship, and then just move it over a little bit like that. So I might get into a better spot to shoot the enemy. Now, each of these has a cone of fire that they will shoot through, and then we will take the range marker and see if you can attack the enemy ship to see if they're within your range. So if my TIE fighter is shooting here at Wedge Antilles, he's definitely within range, although he's in range 3. Range 1 gives the attacker an extra die. Range 3 gives the defender an extra die. So the TIE fighter rolls 2 red dice here, and these red dice have hits on 4 of the sides, and they have eyeballs on 2 of the sides, and then 2 blanks. One of the hits is a critical hit, so he rolls a dice. He rolled 1 hit and 1 eyeball. Now, if he had taken focus, at this point in time, he would be able to discard focus to change it to a hit. So that's what focus allows you to do. The X-Wing, on the other hand, has 2 defense dice, but since it's range 3, he gets an extra defense die. On the defense dice, there are these evade tokens, which allow you to dodge, and there are same as the hits basically. Well, there's actually 3 misses here, and there's 2 focuses on this also. So he rolls, and he gets 2 evades and 1 focus. So the 2 evades cancel out the 2 hits. If he had rolled a blank here and the X-Wing pilot had done a focus, he could have changed his focus to another evade. If he had put an evade on his thing, he wouldn't have to worry about whether he rolled a focus or not. He could just say, that's another evade as he's being attacked. So the TIE fighter completely misses. If he had hit the X-Wing, then he would have first taken damage off in shield points. There's 2 shields that the X-Wing has. He would take these off the card. If he does damage beyond that, then he would simply take damage cards and put them by the X-Wing's card until these damage cards equal the structural points of the X-Wing, in which case it blows up and is gone. If you ever do a critical hit, however, then you will turn one of these cards over and it will do something else. For example, here, the ship cannot perform the actions listed in its action bar. And you can try to fix it each turn, roll an attack die for your action instead of doing a different action, and if you roll a hit, you flip this card face down. It's still a damage point, but at least you fixed your sensors. Sometimes it's a direct hit, it's worth 2 damage. Here your console starts on fire, each turn you might take a damage. Your piloting skill might go down to 0 because you have a damaged cockpit. So critical hits are very bad. And this is the way it's going to go back and forth. There's rules where you can target your opponent, and you put 2 of these that have the same letter, so you know which ship has targeted the other, and you can discard that. Instead of shooting your regular weapon, you can shoot a secondary weapon like these proton torpedoes. Normally an X-Wing rolls 3 dice, but this allows 4 dice. They have to be within range 2 or 3, and you can change one of your focus results to a critical hit. The only thing is you need a target lock to shoot this off, and this also costs 4 points to add it to your deck. And there's all sorts of things that you can add. You can add different astromechs, like here's R2-F2. He increases your agility value by 1. There's assault missiles and homing missiles and cluster missiles and concussion missiles, engine upgrades, shield upgrades. There's all sorts of these, and honestly, some of these actually have come from Wave 1 and 2, and I couldn't remember which ones came from which, but you can go through them and pick as long as your ship can hold those things on it. For example, a TIE fighter here can only have a card that has a metal icon on it to be put on it. So basically a special ability. But if you go through and pick an X-Wing can have one type of missiles put on it and one astromech put on it, at least a Red Squadron pilot. So depending on which kind of ship, the more things they can have. So that's basically the game. In this starter pack, like I said, you're going to get 2 TIE fighters and 1 X-Wing. If you buy more ships, they come 1 ship at a time, and each one comes with some more markers to add to the game, a new dial wheel to add, plastic pieces, and then of course the ship itself, whatever it might be. There's Y-Wings and TIE Advance and so on, and I'll show those off in a future one. But that's the basic game itself. You're just trying to outmaneuver the other person, to pick the right maneuvers, to outthink them, and then hoping that when you roll the dice, your hits hit the other person. I need to stop playing with these. They are fun to play with, and I think they're really good models. I mean, the paint jobs aren't fantastic, but we can't paint that well. Not at all. So we're glad they're already painted. I think it's more fun to play with pre-painted models than it is to play with unpainted models. And you also don't have to put them together. You just take them and stick them on the sticks, and then you're done with it. So, what do you think about Star Wars X-Wing, the miniatures game?
I love this game. It was just so much fun, like dragging your ships around, and it was actually with no board too, which made it even more fun with just using those sticks. The artwork was fantastic, and it was a simple but really fun game.
Yeah, the concept for the game is really good. And in fact, I mean, it's so good that later on we're going to see WizKids releasing a Star Trek game based on this with the same concept. This concept originally came from a game called Wings of War, or Car Wars, some kind of car road rage, I think, that Fantasy Flight game, where you use cars to measure movement. But using those sticks, those cardboard templates to do movement is great. The game,
easy.
Yes. Now, when I was in college, I played a ton of X-Wing vs. TIE Fighter. It was a great game, computer game, flying around and shooting it. Here, I really felt like the X-Wings and TIE Fighters were shooting at each other. You have to sit there and plan your moves. Now, some people take forever to plan their moves.
I killed Luke Skywalker.
You should be ashamed of that. Okay, but anyway, the game. Some people may say, "Well, it's two-dimensional." You're right. If 2 ships are touching each other, they're considered, they can't attack each other, and basically one's considered to be over the other one. There's no collisions in this game. Well, you can collide with asteroids, but you can't really collide with other ships, but you can stop them from shooting from you because you're basically above them or below them. But it's neat, and I like all the additional stuff that you can add. I like the different actions you can pick. Are you going to focus? Or are you going to try to do an extra evade? Are you going to try to target lock your opponent? What did you think about the ability to pick what action that you had?
That made the game a little easier, because if all you just did was fly around and shoot, that would have been a little boring.
Okay, so you're saying it adds more
fun.
Yeah, so and that, you're right, because there is a lot of luck in this game. You're just trying to outmaneuver the other people. And yes, Luke Skywalker will die more often in this game than he probably should, because he's invincible. He's Luke Skywalker. But the game is simple and easy. However, I'll say this. You'll be bored playing the game out of the box. You will be. You've got to buy more. You've got to get... They really should have almost doubled the size of this box. Now, the great thing is you can find this all over the place, but getting 2 of them is almost essential, or at least getting 1 of them and then getting a whole bunch of extra ships. Because when you play with a ton of ships...
It's even more.
Tons of fun. I'll be talking about those in a couple other videos where we'll talk about Wave 1 and Wave 2 ships. See you then.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find the latest board game news at Dicetowernews.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Fun Again Games, the world's best game source. Fun Again Games has over 5,000 games available. Check them out at funagain.com.
Shut the door.
There.